All right,
Got it.
welcome everyone to Miracle Healings. I have a guest on today, Steve, and the reason Steve's here, like all of the guests that are on the podcast and will be on the podcast, I believe that he represents a lot of people out there who wonder if they can get better and who might even be on the verge of really checking out. And the reason he's on today is because even though he flirted with that dark space as a professional and having really what the outside world would have considered an amazing life,
Yeah.
had some extreme challenge and ended up just about losing it all, but didn't, and decided to make a pivot and change his life. And although he was successful before and he's still successful now, I think the fun part about his story is really not just how he got into the dark, but how he bounced through that and is now doing something completely amazing and different. So, Steve, thanks for joining. I'll just let you kind of tell your story. I'll jump in a little bit back and forth, but
Yeah.
maybe just
Got
let us
it.
know, like, what happened. How did it go from, hey, life is pretty good, to I'm not sure I want to be here? Maybe just kind of
Got it.
talk.
Okay. I was living what I thought was a perfect life. Um, I did have a bump in the road, I lost a nephew to Ewing sarcoma, cancer. That was tough. I didn't realize a start of my life changing, but that was the first hurdle that we had as a family, that I thought. The hardest thing was to watch my nephew pass away from bone cancer, basically, something incurable. And watching my brother, which he was 6 years older than me, and he was my superhero, very smart, um, just totally breaking down because he couldn't fix his kid. Um, so when he passed away, that was our very first and one of our hardest family hurdles that we ever had. Um, I have a son that I raised up from two on. It was me and him against the world, we always said, and we loved it. He joined the Army. In the meantime, I had a life dream of owning a car dealership, that I worked from the time I was basically 17 years old. Started washing cars. So on the outside, it looked all warm and fuzzy, doing good, successful. Drive a race car, have fun doing that. Have a kid that's a fantastic wrestler. Now he's in the Army. On the outside looking in, we had a beautiful life, and we did. Um, my son went through the Army. Um, he signed an infantry contract. Um, through basic training, um, he got the honor of getting a ranger contract. That was an
Wow.
earn. That was earned,
Yeah,
and one of the hardest things to do.
yeah, that's no joke.
Yeah, yeah. So through that, he excelled. Um, Went on to two deployments. Um, yeah, that's where that might have been our second family hurdle starting. It would not might, it was. Um, he excelled in the Army, um, did so well. Um, it came time to where he had to decide what he was going to do. He called one day. I'm sitting in my office as I am right now, so I got to apologize if I get a page or anything.
Fine.
Um, get a call, and one of my secretaries always she always would page Army, Army call, so everything got dropped. I'd answer it. Get a call from my son, Dad, guess what? I got chose to take the long walk. Long walk is he got chose he could try to join Delta.
Oh,
He'd
wow.
be a Delta guy. So he spent 30 days back and forth. Dad, I'm going to come work for you. Dad, I'm going to take the long walk. But the one thing, and I didn't realize until I was at the bridge, this is I dealt with a lot of guilt. And one of the first thing that I didn't catch, or I kind of caught, but I didn't say anything, was, Dad, if I take the long walk, I'll never be the same. I'm already changed. And to this day, I wanted to ask, what do you mean you've already changed? Um, so that phone calls go on, and finally I get a call, Dad, I'm coming home. We're high-fiving at the dealership. Son's coming home. He's safe. No more deployments. Life is going to be good. We're going to sell cars and buy car dealerships, and life's great. Life is great. Can't get any better than that. Little did I know the battle just started for him. Getting out of the Army was tough for him. He's uh, I didn't even know, he didn't know, but he had PTSD really bad. After about a year out, he was really suffering. Um, he lost his sixth person that he served with in one mission. They took his own life. And he was really close, and it was, I can't remember the name today. Right now, it'll come to me.
That's
So yeah, six out, I think out of 14 people. So they all kind of gathered, and my son was really, he was hiding it. But he was struggling.
right.
Um, I get a call. I'm going to fast forward a little bit. I get a call. Dre's going to kill himself. Being his dad, um, I raised him up from his own. It's just been him and I. I knew exactly where he was at. My dad, his cousin, or his cousins, they'd all go fishing at Crystal Springs. Um, Beautiful place. I knew that's where he'd be at. I didn't get there quick enough. That's where my life changed. February 27th, 2018. That was life changing.
Yeah, I mean, I can't
Yeah.
imagine. I
I,
can't
yeah.
imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. I was surrounded by love though. Um, and Dr. Brooks, I gotta commend you guys. You feel the love when you walk into the bridge. I felt the love with the police officers. I'm from a small town. I grew up there. I played sports with them. If they're older than me, I grew up with their kids.
Right.
I went running over to where he was at.
Mm.
They stopped me and hugged me. I mean, they cried. They were trying to get it so, but they couldn't stop me. I wanted to be there with him, and I saw the wound.
Ugh.
One of the guys I raced with come running over. They all grabbed me. Um, I couldn't get it out of my head. I didn't know that at that time. Is it okay?
Yeah.
So okay. So with that, they got him to where they got him to the hospital and had him hooked up on machines, and I got to say my goodbyes. Once again, surrounded by love. All the doctor that was working on him. Um, I played basketball with him, and I actually asked him how long, and we both cried. He said, I don't have the heart to tell you, but I can't save your boy. That's tough. The
Yeah.
head nurse, I also played sports with him. We all cried. I was surrounded by love. He was surrounded by love, and as he went to heaven. But that day, that was the toughest day of my life. And I kind of lost my purpose. I didn't care about having car dealerships. I didn't care about having a sporting goods store. I didn't care about racing. I lost everything when I lost him.
Yeah.
I didn't have any peace in my heart. And once again, I got to thank the bridge. They brought that peace back to my heart. They showed me what purpose I have left in life. I had none. I still had my brother though.
especially since you raised him. I mean, you
Yeah.
didn't a big
Yeah.
it was you and him. I mean, you were kind of
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah. Yeah.
you and your
He
boy.
he was my pride. He
Yeah.
was that's you raise them, you build your businesses or whatever you want to you work your whole life so they have something you can pass to them. And it just it was just so changing, so changing.
Yeah.
Um yeah, as a couple years went by, my brother and I we had some talks. He lost his son, I lost my son, but we never had discussions about how dark both of us were, where we were at. Once again, my brother was my superhero. He was 6 years older. I found out things at the bridge that I carried around from the time when I was a kid.
Wow.
Um, I did not know that. I, and I always just figured your older brother's your hero because he's just your older brother. My brother was my hero. We untangled some pretty deep things. My mom and dad got divorced um, when I was 4.5 years old. My brother was 6.5 years older than me. And my dad, I love him to death. Um, love my mom. I lost her when I was 16. I dealt with that at the bridge.
Yeah.
That was life changing. Um, but what I didn't realize is how deep those roots went back to when my parents got divorced. I think I had some depression and some stuff that was already kicked off before even my son passed away. But my brother would, how do you say it, hide me from my dad because my dad was angry. He was abusive, um, emotionally, physically, did some bad things that it took him till he was 68 years old to apologize to my brother. But my brother hid me from that and he took it all. That's why he
Wow.
was my superhero.
Yeah.
I just with some of the things, whether it's, there's so many different things that are modalities from hypnosis. I was the guy that said, that ain't going to work on me. From the massages to the acupuncture to the all of it. It took everything that you guys do there to bring all this other stuff. And it sounds funny, but how does acupuncture work with it's just all part of the process that you guys use. But I found out that's why he's my superhero. He took everything, and my brother suffered from that his whole life. Um, I was the happy, the giggly, bubbly guy, and he was the invert in the corner, very smart, always studying and always protecting his brother. Well,
Yeah.
after I lost my son, I was depressed. I was down. I was sad. I didn't understand the world. I didn't understand my purpose. Still had my brother. But my brother was also suffering, and I wished to this day that I could have got my brother and my son, and we would have loaded up and went to the bridge right then, and we'd just all done a 3-person deal. Who knows what life would have been? It's not for me to judge, or to ask questions, but it's for me to live forward and honor them, though I believe. Um, but he took his own life. He went missing June 22nd, 4 years ago. We found him 11 days later. He took his own life. Unfortunately, um, he couldn't live without his son. And I think his depression that he suffered from when he was a kid, it wasn't just from the one loss. So when I speak, I ask, just listen, hear out. It's worth giving it a try and giving it your all. I lost 2 family members. Um, I would have been the third. Um, when I came there, I didn't care. It's either going to work or it's not.
Yeah.
Um, I was so angry. I was so sad. I had no purpose. Um, I was tired. I was really tired. Um, it was my last stop, you know. When I came through those doors, which if you're listening and you're not sure, going through those doors is the hardest thing that you can do, but it's worth doing. Um,
You
I
start
was
so
met, yeah,
so you
that's
have
your
this
first,
you have this space though. You just
yeah,
about lost it, but not quite lost it, and you had this ember that was still kind of smoldering under there. That even though you were just about done, you were just about out
yeah,
of gas, you're just about finished. You decide no, like I'm
yeah,
going to do something. So, I mean, the
yes,
amazing. We all those providers and all those modalities, but I mean, to anyone listening, make sure when you sense that that little glow is still there, that you use that last little bit of energy and do something. Go in,
exactly.
call somebody, do something. But you
Yes.
came into the program, and then to kind of talk through how that
Mhm.
miracle of that bounce like off the dead bottom, how did you
Oh,
put
yeah,
things together to move like out of that dark space? How did you do that?
that, that was, I did it by goals. Um, the one thing that I would say is just what you said, get around people. Being alone because you'll isolate. I isolated myself so bad. Um, get in front of someone, make
Yeah.
that change. But what I did is I made goals. Um, and this sounds so silly, um, but I would make a goal just to try to get to there. When I called the bridge, I think I spoke with Carrie, if I remember right, and they couldn't get me in before Christmas. And I
Yeah.
didn't know, honestly, I did not know if I could make it past Christmas Day at that time. That's how dark it was for me.
Wow.
Um,
The
yeah,
holidays, sometimes that's
yeah,
when it's super dicey. So, that's
right, right. So, with that being said, I I just had to make a goal to get to the day when I had to be at the bridge. I still wasn't thinking quite right though, or I was thinking right, I was planning.
right, right.
I wanted to go see my old boss that gave me a chance to run a car dealership. That wasn't a thank you, that was a goodbye.
Hmm.
And a thank you. I wanted to look at him in his eyes and tell him thank you, but also without telling him goodbye, goodbye. You know, that was how dark it was.
Um,
Um, you know, I I'll talk about the night when the sun would start going down. Oh, I hated that. I would pace. I'd work till 10:30 at night. I'd start at 6:30 in the morning. I'd go till I was exhausted. Um, but it took me being at the bridge and thinking things through. What was I really scared of? Because my first day when I went to the bridge, my first thought was I was scared. I didn't know if they were gonna hook me up to machines and put me in a straitjacket or what they're gonna do. But
Dedicate TV shots
exactly, exactly.
or I
I just was.
we had a lady come and say that she said she was afraid we were going to meditate her. She said she didn't like alternative therapy, and she said,
Yeah.
"Please don't,
Uh-huh.
please meditate me. Don't make me lay down and chant." I'm like, "I'm not going to make you lay down and
Yeah.
chant."
Got
So,
it. Yeah. Yeah. That's, you just don't know.
right, right,
And it's scary. It's scary. But at that point, I just was I just didn't have any options.
right.
Um, when I walked through that door, can I use names of employees, not full, but first
Yeah,
name?
for sure.
Yeah. Donna was my first connection. And I don't know if she had a gut feeling, her spirit was talking, but she kind of took me on as that was mom taking care of kid almost. And we
Love
even had a nice talk. Yeah. Of, I just felt loved right away. But that uneasy, that sun comes down when you're there, and I would pace. I looked like probably a wild animal walking around. But that was nervous because who was the one to fear was myself. And I had to get through another night. But goals, I used to think mental wellness was something you kept to yourself. If you were suffering, you keep that to yourself. You don't talk about it. It's not right. That's
Yeah.
totally wrong. Totally wrong. Um, I believe God gives everybody talents, or however you believe, but mine was driving a race car.
Mm.
That was my one of my goals that I said I was going to win a championship at Concordia. That's where I used to race. So I started racing. Um, I can remember the last night there, I ended up winning the championship. Didn't feel any different. I got out, I looked at the crowd, I took it in. And what I looked around is I'm not going to see this next year. It was, and I texted Dr. Brooks, you gain friends and you gain family after you're there.
Yeah.
You have to do the hard work, but you gain so much from it.
Yeah.
And I shot you a text and I reread it. It's all chopped up and not way. But when I got out of the car, I looked out and I cried. It wasn't for tears that I won. It was tears. I'm back. I'm back there. I was not going to be back there last year because that was, that was it. I
Yeah.
hit that goal. Um, I had a chance. The second night, I wasn't ready to speak about it, but the second night I won again. And I got out of the car, and however, if you call it your Holy Spirit, God, um, told me I need to speak. So I got out and I told him exactly about mental health and where I was at. People want to talk about that.
Yeah.
People want a place to go.
Right.
Um, they came over to the trailer not to congratulate, but we had talks. I had a half a dozen people come over, hug, cry, so there, this is a beautiful place. Without that, I couldn't have used a voice to let them know it's okay to ask for help. I needed it.
Right.
That was my goals. I would set a goal, try to get to the bridge. Um, Getting through that door, Dr. Brooks, that was one of the hardest, scariest things I've ever done. Um,
Us
one of
men,
the,
we don't
yeah,
like to admit it, number one, and then to go to a
yeah,
facility, it's like, oh geez, I'm this
yeah,
successful guy, I'm here, I'm
yeah,
walking this,
yeah,
what is this, a psych ward? Is it a place to
yeah,
get my,
exactly.
and it's
Yeah,
not,
er,
a it's a reset. And I say this all the
100%.
time. It gets old, but the staff and me included, we look at
Uh-huh.
your skills and I'm like, I want to be a guest. Like who
Yeah,
could benefit you know, from
that's
excellent
true.
tone, really good exercise and
Mhm.
great and some sleep, some perspective. My gosh, like
Oh
so.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
think too, something that impressed me there, and you mentioned this, Steve, is that you made this shift while you were there also, that
right.
you were going to do the work. You at first you're like,
Yes.
no, maybe, maybe not, and you considered going home, but then there was this shift where
Yeah,
you're like, no, I'm gonna roll my sleeves up and I'm gonna do this work. And
exactly.
I watched you go from a maybe, maybe not into
Uh-huh.
this space where I mean, you really got the timing figured out on the race car, right? And all of a
Yeah,
sudden,
exactly. Yeah,
it's really running good and
yeah,
big smile and this
yeah,
levity moving through
yeah.
stuff. And then I remember you coming down saying, I don't think I've been out from under this feeling from my son since it happened, but I feel like even though of course it still happened there, you don't forget, but the
Right.
feeling, that heavy, heavy load you felt like was kind of slid off of you,
100%. Yeah.
started and you started rather than having a trailer behind your race car, you had a
Mhm.
co-pilot. And I think
Exactly.
feeling just was so different. Is that accurate?
It is 100% accurate. Um, I haven't felt the peace in my heart, and that's what the bridge also helps it's a like you said, a reset. Um, but it took many modalities to get there.
Yeah.
I was probably not your model student. I
I,
came with a little bit of I don't know if this is going to work on me, but go ahead, try. It's not going to
yeah.
work on me to it's not going to work on me to oh my gosh. This was in when the sleeves got rolled up, I always say you have to fight like you've never fought before. When I decided we're putting the gloves on and we are fighting because I've got people fighting right beside me too. I
Yeah.
mean, I have people cheering me on and they want you to accept the help, buy
Right.
into the program and fight with, and it's not by myself, it's with us, is what I felt. It was love. I mean, you can't out care your staff. You can't out care what you do and the program you've put together. But the thing that probably changed my course the most was the thing that I thought that's not going to work on me.
Right.
You
Yeah.
can't you can't hypnotize me. There's
Yeah.
no way. I've seen that. That's made up stuff.
Yeah. And don't try to take away my son and that memory. Don't try to make
Yeah,
me think that it wasn't a big deal. Don't
exactly. Yep.
invalidate that grief too. I mean, I
Yeah.
have loss as well.
Yeah.
And I think one thing that hurts everybody when they walk into a situation that's trying to help is like, don't take this from me. This is so important. Don't tell me it's not a big deal. Don't tell me to let it go. Don't use it
Right. Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
but for you, I think when you reposition that again, when now your son's with you and
Yeah.
you're driving fast together instead of grieving,
Exactly.
that's a
Yeah.
whole different ball game. So
That is, and and for the people like where I was at, I would rather live in the pain rather than I thought you had to drag that pain with you because if I lost the pain, I would lose him. That's not how that worked.
yeah,
And I'll remember it to the day I die. Um, I was doing okay there, and I was starting to think I thought I got it. And when you say the don't meditate me,
yeah,
meditation and prayer, meditation is strong.
yeah,
I was doing yoga, which I think they nicknamed me. My nickname here is Scuba, so they called me Scuba there. But
yeah.
my nickname should have been Bowling Ball
Mm,
because in yoga I was the bowling ball. Well, I got this was my changing moment um, at the bridge. Did the yoga, kind of laugh, and then I got into it and I relaxed. I have PTSD. I saw the wound. I can't get it out of my head, or I couldn't. It came back in flashbacks. I'd close my eyes, and it was like Nightmare on Elm Street. I'd see it. I made the mistake. I relaxed, and the flashback came. I sit straight up in yoga, and Brad, which now I talk to him quite often, he saw me. They caught it, and I don't know. I would say your schedule, people, is so important. I can't stress that.
yeah,
Either they're lucky 100% of the time or something goes. But from yoga, I went to my next modality, which was the um, basically hypnosis. And I didn't think I was so mad. I saw that and I'm really getting down again. Nothing's going to fix me. I'm broken. No, I was stuck and I needed redirection. I didn't know that. No one's broken
yeah,
if you allow your program or allow the help.
right.
I went straight to that I think I bet I would assume you probably got a phone call because I think I scared everybody there. I went from this is not going to work to I'm right back at the scene with my son laying there. Only this time I can see the wound, but I can feel the anger of losing my brother.
Mm,
It immobilized me. I was that angry. when I got, and we were trying to get the vision or the flashbacks out of my head, but I couldn't get past. I don't know what I was stuck on, but I was so angry. I was crying. I was that angry, and I couldn't speak. I just ran out of the room.
Yeah.
And it scared me. I was that mad. I've never felt that. So then Corbin come and joined me. It took probably an hour and a half, 2 hours to get me calmed down. I'm guessing. Felt like 3 days. But I'm closing my eyes right now. But that's what got me calmed down. Everybody at the bridge has a story. Corbin shared his with me. Um, that's what I like about what you have there. People are there because they care, because they have their story. And I firmly am only speaking from what I can feel from the outside. They want to do, they want to help
Right.
because they have their story and they want to help the next person. Good human beings is what they are.
Well, and
Yeah,
I appreciate that saying that
yeah,
too, because we don't hire people based on their trauma, but
yeah,
when it just seems like the bridge has attracted some spectacular employees, and
yeah.
they just so happen to have been through nightmares and they've decided to give back. So I'm going to,
Right.
and I promise not to take too much of your time. I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, oh man, you're over what you asked for. So
Oh, no, yeah,
I,
okay.
I
Anyways,
I know you're busy, but I just want everybody to know from the outside watching you, it was really it was really amazing to watch you
yeah,
prove that a human
yeah.
being can shift in a hurry.
Oh,
I
yeah,
sometimes people think that recovery is gradual, and if you're 99% broken, you can improve 1% a month, and so it's going to take you 98 months.
right.
It
Mm-mm,
does when you
no,
shift and your identity and those ideas when they shift hard like they did with you.
yeah,
Now you're interested in helping us expand the program. You're
yes, yeah,
careers, you're fit, you're out back in the
yeah,
village, meeting friends
yes,
and
yes,
they, I mean, it's just this
yeah,
wild, impossible,
yeah. It,
into this new space. So I think
I went from the guy that would lay on the side corner of my bed and hide from everybody to living.
yeah,
It's amazing.
yeah,
And this feels good. Um, it, it's amazing. That's all I can say. But that one change right there, having someone sit with you, and we did get rid of that vision. I can close my eyes. I couldn't do that before. That's when I knew the gloves are on. I've
mm,
got people coming out with me in my entourage, and we're going to win this fight.
love it.
And
Yeah,
you guys stood with me, and I fought. And that's one thing I never would take a compliment. I've learned to be able to do. I
mm,
fought my tail off, and we're winning now.
love it.
And without that, I'm forever grateful. My days when I got there were done. Today, I'm living forward. I'm doing it. I didn't lose memory of my son. I just got the bad moment out of my head. I'm living in memory of my son now. And when I say living, I can't say living with capital letters all the way across living, but I am living.
Yeah.
And it's, and I owe it to everybody there. Um, they stood beside me, and when I came out of my room, when I had that deal, I kind of opened the door up, stuck my head out. It's like, oh, I'm kicked out of here probably.
No,
But
not that easy.
no, they don't give up on you. So I do. I just don't even know how to say how thankful I am. My family's had so much trauma. Um, but I do believe I have a family looking down on me now, proud. Um, they're living a beautiful life in heaven, and I'm going to live a beautiful life here. So,
Well, it's
yeah,
super impressive.
yeah,
I am
yeah.
so grateful you gave us some time.
Thank you.
I know you're
Yeah,
at work. I know you're busy. I'm
yeah. No,
just,
that's
I mean, you epitomize a miracle healing.
thank you. Thank
It,
you.
it's a whole bunch of people, but really you gotta own that. That's your effort. That's
Right.
your
Yeah,
ability and your willingness to let go and
Yeah.
shift, get it, and
Right.
love being
Right.
in touch. Just every time I talk to him, like, holy cow, this
Thank you.
still
Yeah.
moving, still going
Yeah.
fast. Just
Yeah.
I love
I'm excited for the next moment, next minute, next. So thank you, Dr. Brooks. And honestly, I can't thank the staff also. Um, but if you're listening, the first time I listened to a Zoom call, I thought, there's no way someone can be that happy.
it.
I was like, I am not doing that. There's no way. That's just, they're trying to sell me something. It's not.
Yeah.
You just and happiness in your heart. So
Well, hey, we
good
love you.
job.
That's nice
Yeah.
work. We love you.
Thank you.
We'll be
All right,
talking
put
for the
those
rest of our
gloves on and
we'll,
let's go. Let's go win. Yeah.
we'll be talking the rest of our lives. So
All right. All righty.
thanks so much for sharing your story.
Thank you so much, Dr. Brooks. Have a
Talk to
great day. All
you.
righty. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.